Welcome back to the today's class on advanced switchgear. Today we are going to see about classifications, characteristics and factors affecting restriking voltage transients. Restriking voltage transient and consequently their respective circuits can generally placed under two main classifications. One is single frequency oscillatory transient. This figure we have seen earlier, which represent a power system having a generator feeding a bus bar through a long transmission line through a step-up transformer. The generator, transformer and transmission line, inductance and capacitance are lumped together in the circuit diagram. Then the circuit breaker, which is used to control the long transmission line, is represented as S in the circuit diagram. Similarly, a fault is occurring in the transmission line very nearer to the system. In the second figure, you can see the restriking voltage with respect to time axis, and this curve is the normal power frequency voltage, and this voltage is the restriking voltage, and this is the Laplace transformation of the circuit that we have seen earlier. The second one is the double frequency transient. The difference between the single frequency oscillatory transient and double frequency transient is the fault, which is occurring here in the short transmission line, is very nearer. In a single frequency oscillatory transient, the fault occurring in the system is very nearer to the station. Similarly, in double frequency transient, the fault occurring in the transmission line is very far away from the power system or the power generating station. So, the inductance and capacitance present in the transformer generator are present in the, near the station or lumped before the circuit breaker, and the another inductance and capacitance which are present in the transmission line, since the fault is occurring very far away from the generating station, we have two inductance capacitance networks, and in the center of the network we are having the circuit breaker. And this is the representation figure of double frequency transient. You can see two oscillatory transient motions because there are two inductors and capacitor network. First inductor and the first capacitor network creates the first oscillatory transient, and the second capacitor and the second inductor network creates the second oscillatory transient. So this is the difference between single frequency oscillatory transient and double frequency transient. Single frequency oscillatory transient. When circuit breaker contacts start to open, an arc is formed which normally extinguishes at current 0. We know that in an alternating current wave, the current passes through the 0 position. So, when an arc is formed and the circuit breaker tries to trip out the circuit, then the arc wave will vanishes automatically at current 0 position. Then the circuit voltage then being at its peaks and get restored. On seeing this waveforms, you can see the voltage waveform and the current waveform. You can see when the arc is extinguished at the current zero position, you can see a peak circuit voltage which is trying to get restored in this position. This voltage tries to appear across circuit breaker contacts, but it is delayed in doing so due to the presence of capacitance C. Since the fault is present here and the capacitance is present here and the circuit breaker has stripped out, the capacitance will first charges from the generator voltage and then only it will give the supply voltage to the contacts of the circuit breaker. So the difference in delay time is creating such a effect. Capacitance C gets charged and then establishes the voltage across the circuit breaker. From the circuit diagram, we can see easily first the capacitor is charged through the inductance from the generator. After that only the bus bar and the circuit breaker contacts can get its voltage. However, a transient restriking voltage occurs at the natural frequency. Since the current is being interrupted at current zero position and the capacitor is trying to charge itself, so a peak voltage will occur and this peak voltage will oscillate in its natural frequency. Due to inductance and capacitance series circuit, a voltage is superimposed on already existing circuit recovery voltage. Since we know that this is the recovery voltage of the system or the normal voltage of the system, you can see a second voltage which is the restriking voltage which is superimposed on the recovery voltage. This effect is due to this inductance and capacitance which are connected in series with the generator. So the series circuit creates an oscillatory transient and this makes the oscillatory transient to superimpose on the already existing recovery voltage of the system. The natural frequencies will be of the order of 1000 Hz to 10,000 Hz. Double frequency voltage transients. It is possible that the circuit breaker S may have inductance and capacitance parameters on its two sides as shown in the figure. If it is a very long transmission line and the fault is occurring at the end of the transmission line, then there will be two inductance and capacitance formed before and after the circuit breaker as shown in this circuit. This inductance and capacitance represents the generator, transformer, inductance and capacitance. Similarly, this capacitance and inductance represents the long transmission line parameters. These two parameters are connected by the or separated by the circuit breaker S. Before clearance, the point A and point B are at same potential. Since the arc is drawn from the point A to point B due to the short circuit fault, before clearance of the fault, the potential of the point A and the potential of the point B are similar and equal. After the fault is cleared and the arc has been extinguished, the circuit oscillates at its own natural frequency. Since the fault is being extinguished at current zero position, then the two circuits due to L1 C1 and the other circuit due to C2 and L2 oscillates on its own natural frequencies L1 C1, that is the inductance L1 and capacitance C1, create this waveform of oscillation, and the second circuit, capacitance C2 and L2, creates the second natural frequency of oscillations. So, a composite double frequency transient appears across both the circuit breaker contacts S. Due to these two circuits, before and after the circuit breaker S creates the transient double frequencies. These two circuits L1 and C1 creates their own double frequency transients, and these two double frequency transients appears across the point A and at point B. Characteristics of restriking voltage transient. Important characteristics of restriking voltage transients which affects the performance of the circuit breaker are as follows: amplitude factor, rate of rise of restriking voltage. First one is the amplitude factor. It is defined as the ratio of peak of transient voltage to peak system frequency voltage. So this is the highest amplitude that the restriking voltage can produce. Rate of rise of restriking voltage, which is represented as RV. Rate of rise of restriking voltage is expressed in kilovolt per microsecond. RRRV is defined as the slope of the steepest tangent to the restriking voltage curve. RRRV is obtained by dividing maximum amplitude of oscillation by duration of the first half cycle or half wave of the recovery voltage. The duty of circuit breaker is much more severe when employed in a network of higher natural frequency than on a network of lower natural frequency. So, the rate of rise of restriking voltage depends on the natural frequencies. So, if the natural frequency of oscillation is very high, then the circuit breaker employed has more severe effect and have to perform very high operational duty. If the rate of rise of restriking voltage is low and it creates a lower natural operating frequencies, then the circuit breaker which is acting upon the fault has a lesser duty in concern. Rate of rise of restriking voltage. This is because the average RRRV is much greater in networks of higher natural frequencies. In lower natural frequencies, the voltage across contacts of the circuit breaker rises slowly, thereby giving longer time for building up of dielectric strength. So from the comparison, we can see that if a network having higher natural frequency, it will give rise to greater RRRV. Similarly, if the lower natural frequency circuits will create a lower RRRV, and the building up of dielectric strength is also very easily. Expression for rate of rise of restriking voltage transients. We have already derived the restriking voltage transient expression. We know that V is equal to V max into 1 minus cos T by square root of L into C. And the rate of rise of restriking voltage can be differentiated from the restriking voltage transient. So dV by dt equal to V max divided by root of LC into sine T by root of LC. So the expression for RRRV is this one. RRRV will be maximum when sin t by root of LC equal to 1. Since sin 0 is 0, then sin 90 should be the maximum, which means this sin parameter should have 90 degree to have a maximum value. So at t is equal to pi by 2 root of LC, this sin 90 will occur, and sin 90 leads to 1, and dV by dt is equal to V max root of LC. There will be having a maximum rate of rise of restriking voltage. Hence, the maximum value of rate of rise of restriking voltage RRRV max will occur at V max divided by root of LC. Further, the peak restriking voltage occur when dV by dt equal to 0. When this term dV by dt becomes 0, the peak restriking voltage will occur. So, to make this term 0, we need to make sin as 0. Sin 0 is 0. So, the sin term sin t by root of LC must be equal to 0 to make a peak restriking voltage. So, we need t is equal to pi into root of LC. Here pi represents 180 and sin 180 is 0. So when sin is 0, the peak restriking voltage will occur. Factors affecting the restriking voltage transient. After current 0, the initial rate of rise of peak value of the restriking voltage depends upon contact gap, the configuration of the network, the natural frequency, the relative position of resistance in series or in parallel with the main capacitance. In this figure, you can see the voltage in y-axis and time in x-axis, and in this graph you are seeing the restriking voltage curve with the resistance in parallel to the circuit capacitance, and in this above graph you are seeing restriking voltage curve with the resistance in series with the circuit capacitance. So this graph represented in these two circuits are shown as a graph. Here you can see the resistance is inserted in series with the circuit capacitance, and similarly in this circuit you can see the resistance is inserted which is in parallel with the circuit capacitance. And what is this resistance? This resistance is known as the shunt resistance, and this shunt resistance is going to minimize the rate of rise of restriking voltage. True nature of attenuation is quite complicated because of losses depends on several factors. Since the rate of rise of restriking voltage depends on several factors, the factors which are creating the rate of rise of restriking voltage has several losses, and these losses are expressed as conductor resistance loss, which is nothing but I square R loss, dielectric loss, and corona effect. These factors depends on frequency and voltage in different ways. In network consisting of generators, transformers, reactors, and a transmission line, each of them expect its own damping characteristics. Since all the devices present in the system has their own damping characteristics, so the natural damping which is present in the system is not more effective. Usually attenuation due to them is too small to be relied upon for improvement in breaker performance. So the circuit breaker, which is interrupting a fault, creates an oscillatory frequency which is known as restriking voltage. So this transient oscillatory frequency should be damped. So this damping factor which is to be made or which is to be connected is normally present in the system itself in the form of generators, transformers, reactors and transmission lines. These are all the elements which are connected in the system, and these elements have their own damping frequencies, and these damping effects are too small, and these damping effects cannot be relied upon for the improvement in breaker performance. When a high RRRV are expected, circuit breaker with a shunt resistance are employed. So to improve the damping effect of the breaker and to reduce the restriking voltage, we can insert a shunt resistor in parallel or series with the circuit breaker to reduce the rate of rise of restriking voltage transient and also the peak restriking voltage. For exponential buildup of voltage across the breaker of 50 Hz recovery voltage, to avoid overshoot, instead of accepting the oscillatory doubling effect associated with an undamped circuit, we employ a shunt resistance. Okay, to reduce the oscillatory doubling effect and also to reduce the rate of restriking voltage and also to avoid the overshoot and also to increase the duty of the circuit breaker, we are introducing a shunt resistance in the circuit breaker contacts. The value of shunt resistance Rp required to achieve critical damping, which is equal to 1 by 2 root of Lc. Figure illustrates the restriking voltage, critically damped and other related wave shapes. Here you can see the figure. The x-axis is the time axis and y-axis denotes the voltage and current waveforms. And this is the recovery voltage or the system voltage which is being recovered, and the above one, this one is the restriking voltage of the system which occurs due to the fault interruption or the arc interruption. You can see this dotted line, which is the increasing dielectric strength of contact gap after interruption of a relatively small fault current, and this dashed line gives you increasing dielectric strength of contact gap after interruption of relatively large fault current. So you can see the resistance value which need to be inserted depends upon the 1 by 2 root of L divided by C. The value of shunt resistance depends upon the inductance and capacitance of the circuit in which we are interrupting the fault current. This causes the arc to be extinguished even though the dielectric strength of the gap increases only relatively slowly as a result of severe short circuit. Inclusion of shunt resistance. Inclusion of shunt resistor increases circuit breaker rupturing capacity. The figure shows the relation of RRRV and rupturing capacity of an air blast circuit breaker. Here you can see the natural frequency of oscillation in kilohertz in x-axis, and in y-axis you can see rupturing capacity in MVA as well as the rate of rise of restriking voltage in kilovolt per microsecond. And this graph shows the rate of rise of restriking voltage with shunt resistor. And this graph, this straight line, shows the rate of rise of recovery voltage without a shunt resistor. And this line shows you rupturing capacity with the resistor, and this line shows you a rupturing capacity without a resistor. So it is a very good practice to insert a shunt resistance across the circuit breaker contacts to decrease the rupturing capacity and to decrease the rate of rise of restriking voltage, and also it will increase the lifetime of the circuit breaker. And this shunt resistor helps us to improve the circuit fault clearance and increases the stability of the power system. Conclusions on factors affecting the restriking voltage transient. Without shunt resistance, rate of rise of restriking voltage is directly proportional to the natural frequency of the circuit and rupturing capacity of the circuit breaker. So the shunt resistance which we inserting in the circuit breaker contacts, which acts directly to the natural frequency and the rupturing capacity of the circuit breaker. In case of breaker with shunt resistance, the rate of rise of restriking voltage cannot exceed a certain value determined by the shunt resistor. Since the shunt resistor is calculated using the formula 1 by 2 pi root of L by C, so this parameter of shunt resistor will helps us to stop the rate of rise of restriking voltage, and it will helps us to limit the restriking voltage within a certain value. Hence, the rupturing capacity does not drop to that extent. So, the rupturing capacity of the circuit breaker gets dropped. So, the circuit breaker lifetime gets very much increased. For higher value of natural frequencies, the advantage gained in the rupturing capacity is more due to adding external shunt resistance across the breaker. So if higher value of natural frequency and the power system is very large or very complex, so it is a very good practice to increase a shunt resistance in the circuit breaker contacts, and this shunt resistance helps us to decrease the rate of rise of restriking voltage and the maximum value of restriking voltage, and it will increase the lifetime of the circuit breaker. It decreases the rupturing capacity, and this shunt resistance helps to provide a stability in power system, and this shunt resistance help to clear the fault which is present in the power system in a minimum amount of time. So the shunt resistance which we add across the circuit breaker helps in several manners. So the shunt resistance should be added across a circuit breaker due to these following good effects. Thank you.